Hello dear subscribers, good afternoon. So with our viewers, our learners, and our dear parents. So this is Teacher Bong, and we are on Bong Fontanilla YouTube channel. So this channel of course is intended to help learners who struggle much in their study on their modules in mathematics. So for this afternoon, we will be focusing on grade 10 mathematics, particularly on the topic geometric sequence. So we will be discussing or talking about geometric sequence. For sure, you have already an idea as to what sequence is all about. So when we speak of sequence, that is simply an arrangement of numbers following a pattern. So for this discussion, we will be tackling much on one specific type of sequence, and that is geometric. So by definition, whether a sequence where each term after the first term is obtained by multiplying the preceding term by a non-zero constant called the common ratio. So there is a very important concept called common ratio. So we will be understanding more about this term as we go on with our discussion. Let us try to have this activity. Which one is geometric sequence? So for this activity, we will be able to identify whether an arrangement of numbers or a sequence is under geometric sequence basing from its characteristics. So number one, you're given 5, 20, 80, and 320. And that can still be continued because that is an example of what we call infinite sequence because of the 3 dots there. So here, for us to be able to identify whether it is geometric, we are going to evaluate and solve for what we call the common ratio. And what is this common ratio? The common ratio is solved by getting the quotient of the second term to that of the first term, the third term to that of the second term, the fourth term to that of the third term. So, tignan natin, our first term or a sub 1 is 5, a sub 2 second term 20, a sub 3 third term 80, then we have also 320 there. So first, let's try to get the quotient between 20 and 5. So the ratio between 20 and 5, so that is 20 divided by 5, you will get 4. Then we have also 80 by 20. So 80 divided by 20 is still 4. Then we have 320 by 80. So 320 divided by 80 is also 4. So we can observe that we have a common ratio there. So all the ratios are the same. So that's why it's called common ratio. So if there is a common ratio, therefore, that arrangement or sequence of numbers is what we call geometric sequence. Ayun, na? So I just hope you did understand. Now, for number 2, you're given 7 square root of 2, 5 square root of 2, 3 square root of 2, then we have also square root of 2. Okay, let us try to get 2 ratios there. Say, between 5 square root of 2 and 7 square root of 2. So we have 5 square root of 2 divided by 7 square root of 2. Cancel po natin yan. So we get 5 over 7. Then, between 3 square root of 2 and 5 square root of 2, get the quotient. We get 3 over 5 or 3/5. So if you are going to compare, we have already different ratios. So the ratio, there is no common ratio there. So if there is no common ratio, therefore our number 2 is not a geometric sequence. Okay, next, for number 3, you're given 5, negative 10, 20, negative 40. So I think that would be very simple, so long as you know how to operate signed numbers. So you have there, negative 10 divided by 5, you will be getting negative 2. Then 20 divided by negative 10, still you will be getting negative 2. And negative 40 divided by 20 is still negative 2. So we have a common ratio, therefore number 3 is also a geometric sequence. For number 4, I think this is still geometric. So 1, 0.6, 0.36, 0.2, 16. So 0.6 divided by 1 is 0.6, 0.36 divided by 0.6, so it is still 0.6. So all the ratios are 0.6. So therefore we have a common ratio. So geometric sequence. For number 5, so here you have to recall on how to operate fractions. For number 5, you're given, let's try to get the ratio between 10 over 6 and 10 over 3. So R is equal to 10 over 6 divided by 10 over 3. So kung nagdi-divide tayo, get the reciprocal of the divisor, then proceed as in multiplication. So that is 10 over 6 times 3 over 10. So cancel natin yung 10. We get 3/6, which is, the simplified form is 1/2. Then punta tayo sa second. That is 10 over 9 divided by 10 over 6. So that is simply 10 over 9 times 6 over 10. Cancel, cancel. So 9 over 6 simplified to 2 over 3. So we can notice already from these two ratios, they are already different. So therefore, it's not a geometric sequence. Okay? So I hope you can still follow. So let us see another exercise. So yeah, there, finding the missing term. So from this, basing from the different concepts or characteristics that we discussed about geometric sequence, so let us try to apply now, for us to be able to get the missing term. So number 1, you have 3, 12, 48. So the very first thing for you to do is you have to compute for the common ratio. So you have to consider 12 and 3. So 12 divided by 3, you will be getting 4. Also, 48 divided by 12 is also 4. So our common ratio there is 4. So how shall we manipulate or how shall we use the common ratio to get the next term? Ang sinasabi dun sa definition, to get the next term, the common ratio will be multiplied to the preceding term to get the next term. So i-multiply po natin yung common ratio. And our common ratio there is 4. So therefore, to get itong pang-apat or h sub 4, since our common ratio is 4, so we will simply multiply 48 by 4. So 48 times 4, we will be getting 4 times 8, that is 32. Then 4 times 4, we have 16 plus 3. Okay, that's 19. So therefore, we will be getting 192. Please do check me, because sometimes my pen is not cooperating. So sometimes I will be writing an error answer. Okay. 192 is our fourth term. To get the fifth term, so we have 192, multiply it by the common ratio that is 4. So 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 9 is 36. So 3 there, 4 plus 3, we have 7. So therefore, our last term or fifth term is 768. So that is simply the process. So to get the next term, we will simply multiply the common ratio. But look, that is not always the case. Why? Let us try to consider number 2. Yeah? So if we are to compare example number 1 and example number 2, for number 1, you are working what? From left to right. While for number 2, it's simply going backward. Yeah? So you have there, you do not know the first term, you do not know the second term, but you do know the third, the fourth, and the fifth term. So working backward tayo. So therefore, instead of multiplying the ratio, since going backward, we will be dividing the ratio. Yeah? So our operation there will be division, because you know the inverse of multiplication is division, and the inverse of division is multiplication. So let's try to get the ratio. 64 divided by 32. Yes, it's 2. Yeah? So that's the common ratio. So this common ratio will serve as our divisor, working backward. So 32 divided by 2, we will be getting 16. So therefore, our second term there is 16. Then, to get the first term, 16 divided by 2, we will simply get 8. So that's how we get it. So I think there's no more problem for 3, 4, 5. Kasi working onward naman na siya. Then sometimes it's working backward. So dapat alam natin kung working onward, we will multiply the ratio. If it is working backward, then we will divide the ratio. Okay? So for this time, let us try to consider some problems involving geometric sequence. First, you have there, find the 10th term of the geometric sequence 2, 4, 8, dot, dot, dot. So that is an example of an infinite. So we are going to find the 10th term. So 10th term ang sinasabi. So here, basing from the exercise given a while back, so we will simply make the common ratio to get the 10th term. So parang skip counting ang gagawin natin. So we have 2, 4, 8. Our common ratio there is 2. Why? Because 4 divided by 2 is 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So we will simply multiply 2 from to the preceding term to get the next term. So our third term is 8. Multiply it by 2 to get the fourth term. So 8 times 2, we will be getting 16. Then 16 times 2, we will be getting 32. 32 times 2, we have 64. 64 times 2, we have 128. 128 times 2, we have 256. 256 times 2, we have 512. 512 times 2, we have 1024. And 1024 times 2, we will be getting 2048. So therefore, the answer is 2048. So that is the 10th term. Kasi pang-sampu siya. Okay. So there. Next, punta tayo sa number 2. So let us try to consider number 2. Write the first 4 terms of the geometric sequence where a sub 1 is equal to 1 and r is equal to negative 2. So for number 2, basing from the problem, it says there, write the first 4 terms. So there would be 4 terms. First 4 terms. Our n is 4 because n is simply the number of terms. So by the way, I would like to remind you that the formula for geometric sequence we have there, a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. So that's the formula. So from the formula, our n there is the number of terms. There. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. Our a sub n is usually the last term. A sub 1 is the first term. Then n is the number of terms. And of course, our r is the common ratio. So, balik tayo for number 2. So, there are 4 terms. Our n is equal to 4. And we can readily compute for the common ratio, that is 4 divided the common ratio is given, that's negative 2. So, we will be getting a sub 2, a sub 3, and a sub 4, given your a sub 1 and the common ratio. So, how to get? So, we will simply multiply your common ratio to the preceding term to get the next term. Okay. So, negative 2 times 1. So, therefore, our a sub 2 is negative 2. Negative 2. Then, negative 2 times negative 2, that would be our a sub 3 or third term. We will be getting 4. Yeah. Then 4 times negative 2, so that is our a sub 4. We will be getting negative 8. So the first 4 terms are, we have 1, negative 2, 4, negative 8. So since the final answer would be 1, negative 2, 4, negative 8. So the first 4 terms are 1, negative 2, 4, and negative 8. Okay. Let's try to consider problem number 3. Find R in the geometric sequence if the first term is 1/3 and the 8th term is 128/3. So for this, we can no longer apply yung something like manual or mental, but here we will be using now the formula. So the formula did is we have a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. So as I told you a while back, from the formula, our a sub n is usually the last term, our a sub 1 is the first term, our n there is the number of terms, and our r is simply the common ratio. So basing from the problem, let us try to consider the given. What are the given there? It says, find R in the geometric sequence if the first term is 1/3. So our first term is 1/3, a sub 1. So a sub 1 is 1/3. And the 8th term is 128/3. So 8th term, our 8th term, a sub 8, or that is now the last term, is equal to 128/3. Yan. Then we will be finding for the R. So since there are 8 terms, therefore our n is also 8. Na? So we should take note of that. Yan. N is 8. So from the formula, you have a sub n is equal to a sub 1 r raised to n minus 1. Substitute. Na? A sub n, ayon, a sub n is 128/3. So we have 128/3 there. Equals our a sub 1, 1/3 times r, then raised to, our n is 8, 8 minus 1. So divide both equations by 1/3, cancel. Ang natira dito is r raised to 8 minus 1, that is r raised to 7. Equals, so we have 128/3 all over 1/3 will become 128. So we have r raised to 7 equals 128. So how shall we solve for r? To solve for r, our 128 will be written as exponential expression or exponential number. So we will be finding for a base wherein if its exponent is 7, it will be equal to 128. So what number when raised to 7 will give you 128? To find the number, we will simply start with, of course, dun sa pinakamababa. Now let us try 2. Yeah? Okay, 2. So 2 times 2, we will be getting 4. Correct? Okay, so 2, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 2, 16. 16 times 2, we have 32. 32 times 2, we have 64. And 64 times 2, we'll be getting 128. So how many times did we multiply the base 2? 7 times. So therefore, ang base po natin doon to get a 128 having an exponent is 2. So, cancel po natin yung 7, our exponent the 7. Ang mangyayari, our R will become now 2. So, the final answer will be 2. The common ratio will be 2. So, you can also check, that is, we will simply multiply 2 to your 1/3 to get the second term, to get the third term, to get the fourth term, to get the fifth term, the sixth term, the seventh term, and we can check whether we can really get 128/3 as the eighth term. Okay? So, in understanding geometric sequence, it is simply easy so long as we know how to operate and manipulate our basic types of numbers. We should know how to operate sign numbers, fractions, and the rest. Because this is simply a sequence and arrangement of numbers. So, that's all. Hope you did learn something. By the way, thank you so much for tuning in. So, please keep tuning in. Keep watching for our upcoming videos because we will be uploading more considering also other learning competencies of other grade levels. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Till next time.